Okay, guys. So today's topic for Mindful Mondays is dissolving rumination. Now, rumination is when we, just to define it, it's when we have an unhealthy obsession with a past event that we keep reliving over and over again in our mind. Now, something that I've talked about on this group multiple times is that we think in pictures, which means we go into different scenes. If I ask you what your car looks like, you have a picture. If I ask you what color your fridge is, you see a picture. So we think in pictures, but we also think in time. We have the ability to be sitting here in the present moment and be thinking about a conversation that we had last week. We also have the ability to go into the future and see things that have yet to happen, but we can also change situations. What rumination is a lot of the time, it's when we spend a lot of the time that we have, which that's all our life is made up, is moments in time. We spend a lot of our time thinking about a past situation and trying to possibly change it, trying to get something out of it. It could be trying to win an argument with someone that you were in a relationship with 5 years ago. It could be imagining that you started your goal 10 years ago. It could be anything that you're ruminating on that's not really helping you. Rumination is when you're stuck in a past event and you're thinking about it on repeat and it's stealing the moment that you have, which is right now. Now, I've done this multiple times and I find myself in these paths. Most of the time, what it means is that there's a pain that you've experienced that your mind is trying to seek a way to heal. And the way that it's trying to do that is to go back and change the event. Now, this can be helpful because it lets us know, hang on, there's something that has happened before that I need to work on. Now, the only moment we can work on it is now in the future. So some of the ways to look back into your past and use your imagination is to kind of go back and think to yourself, well, what is this situation here to tell me or to teach me? What have I not learnt? What do I need to learn from this situation? If you're going back to a fight, maybe it's that you need to learn to let that relationship go. Maybe to learn that you can't change the past. In today's session, what we're going to do is we're going to do some work around this. For me, I've spent time going back into the past thinking about old relationship, but eventually you have to face it and say, what is this memory or this rumination trying to teach me? What am I here to learn? How could I act differently in a similar future, a similar situation in the future? So what could I do differently moving forward? How could I take that learning into the present? How can I forgive myself for what happened and love myself moving forward? These are some great questions to go back into that moment and think about. So we're going to do some journaling around this right here and right now. So what I want you to do is either open up a new document on your device, or if you've got pen and paper, just write Mindful Mondays, dissolving rumination. So Mindful Mondays, dissolving rumination. Had a couple of people join late. Good to see you, Darlene. Good to see you, Catherine, as well. Beautiful. So question number one that I want you guys to journal on is this. I want you to think about and write down a situation or a place that your mind keeps going back to in the past. One that's been on your mind maybe a fair bit lately. And I want you to write it down without going into too much detail. So you can journal this by just saying, the moment in time I keep going back to is. The moment in time I keep going back to is. Maybe it's a conversation with someone. A lot of the time, rumination happens in the shower. So maybe think about what you think about in the shower. Maybe it's a past business dealing that you wish you'd made a different choice. Maybe it's some kind of relationship situation that you keep replaying and playing out in different ways. And once you've got something that you're happy to do some work on today, Just give me a thumbs up so I know to go on to the next question. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Stephen. And for the people without video, and just give us a thumbs up emoji. Thank you, Emma. I think there's a button down there that you can click to react. Thanks, Colin. Amazing. We'll move on to question number 2. What is your mind trying to get you to learn so you can move on? I want you to think about this, and I want you to answer it by saying, my mind is trying to help me learn. And then write on for that. What is your mind possibly trying to help you learn here? My mind is trying to help me learn. And just see what flows on for you. Throughout this process as well, don't forget to just take a few deep breaths. Maybe your mind is trying to tell you something or teach you something. Maybe it's not to repeat a particular relationship pattern. Maybe it's to change the way that you deal with a business situation. Maybe it's the way that you handle money. And once you feel that you've got an answer, just give me a thumbs up so we can go on to the next one. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Emma. Beautiful. And once we get one more, we'll go on to the next one. Thank you, Catherine. Amazing. Question number 3. I want you to ask yourself, what can I do differently in the same or similar situations in the future? And you can answer this by saying, what I can do differently from now on is. What I can do differently from now on is. And just write down anything that comes to you. Maybe instead of thinking of that past relationship, you can think of the work that you need to do in the world. Maybe instead of thinking about that situation from what you learned, you can now think about how you're going to make more money in the career that you're in. What can you do differently? What can you think about maybe that's different? And once you feel that you've got a good answer, just give me a thumbs up so we can go on to the next one. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Zoran. Thanks, Jonathan. Beautiful. Now, question number 4. What do I need to tell myself when I find myself coming back to this thought so I can leave this in the past? And you can answer this by saying, if I go back to thinking about, and you can write that thing, thinking about my ex, thinking about money in a negative way. If I go back to thinking about, I want to remind myself. It's in moments where we decide to change the thought, to change it, to think about something that's more helpful, more productive. So if I go back to thinking about, or if I find myself thinking about this past situation, I want to remind myself. Maybe you might think about that relationship you're in, and every time you catch yourself and you know it's not helpful, maybe every single time you can pivot and you can move your mind to focusing on getting into the relationship that you want and how you can go about doing that. Maybe you can pivot your mind and choose to think about something else. Or maybe you want to remind yourself that it's not helpful. Maybe you want to remind yourself that it's not getting you to feel good. For me, I wanted to remind myself that it's just not helping me at all. I want to think about something more helpful, more constructive. Used to be in the shower that's where I did a lot of rumination. I find now if I have a cold shower, it goes pretty quickly. Amazing. Thanks, Emma. Well, if everyone's done, just give me a quick thumbs up. Thanks, Stephen. I think we should be right with this one. We'll go on to the next one. Number 5. This is the last question. I want you to really think about this, and this is the one to go deep on because this is where some of the healing can happen. Why am I grateful for this situation having had happened? So I want you to write down, I'm grateful for this situation because. I'm grateful for this situation because. Maybe you're ruminating about the past and you're grateful for it because it's an inspiration for you to do better in the future. Maybe you're grateful for that relationship because it taught you something really valuable. Amazing. And once you feel that you've got some really good answers for that, you've written a few things down that you're grateful for about that situation, I want you to just take a pause. And I want you to just think for a moment about this thing that you were ruminating on in the past. And I want you to just write down one thing that you want to think about more often instead of this. The one thing. So each time you find yourself thinking about this past moment that's not serving you anymore, what is it that you want to think about instead? What's going to be your go-to? For me, it's about business, about what I can do to improve what I'm doing with my service, with my clients. Anytime I find myself ruminating, I always go back to that as a key point of focus. So if you're ruminating on something and you catch yourself, what do you want to bring your mind back to focusing on? Maybe you're writing a book. Maybe you've got a business. Maybe you've got a relationship that you're working on right now. Maybe it's your health. And anytime you catch yourself thinking about that thing, you're just going to pivot and say, okay, that's not helping me. What I want to think about is this. And if anything came up for you that you want to work on, because sometimes there's something in the past that needs healing, that needs work, and that maybe you don't want to ignore. Maybe it keeps coming up for a really good reason and you need to do some work. If that's something that's coming up for you, please reach out to me and we can have a conversation about what could be a very helpful methodology for you to move forward from that. But for now, just give yourself a pat on the back for answering some of those questions. Maybe that was easy for you. Maybe it was hard. But we're going to jump into our next section of Mindful Mondays, which is our meditation. So I want you to just take a moment to stretch out, do whatever it is that you need to do. Just try and get yourself as comfortable as absolutely possible. If you need to stand up, move around, it can be a bit annoying if you're trying to meditate and you're just feeling quite uncomfortable. So finding that comfortable position to be in really does make it a lot easier. So the way that this works is I'm going to play some meditation music through the speakers. And I'm just going to give you guys a chance to just get nice and comfortable. Can everyone hear that okay? Yep. Beautiful, beautiful. So just taking a moment right now to just relax. Just take a moment to find yourself into a nice, comfortable position, keeping your back as straight as you can, keeping your head slightly elevated, slightly looking up, and just taking a moment to just relax and get your body nice and still. Maybe pull your shoulders back and let your hands rest in a nice, comfortable position. Just taking a moment to just get still. I want you to imagine that you can just feel your mind winding down. Any thoughts that it's having, just slowing down. And as your mind is slowing down, giving yourself complete permission to be here in this moment, to let go of any thinking about anything else other than where we direct our mind through this practice. We're going to start with a breathing technique where we breathe in through the nose all the way into our stomach and chest, feeling our body expand for 4 seconds. We hold our breath for 4 seconds. Then we breathe out for 6 seconds. Then hold our breath for 6 seconds. So it's in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6, hold for 6. I'm going to guide you through the first 3 rounds, and then you guys can do 3 rounds on your own. We'll take our first inhale through the nose in 3, 2, 1. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now do a few rounds on your own. And after you do your last exhale and hold, allow your breathing to return to normal. I want you to imagine in your mind that you're walking through a park. It can be any park that you want. Seeing yourself walking, noticing the weather, whatever weather you want, warm, cold. And imagining as you're walking, feeling a nice energy in your body, a calm, open energy in your body. As you see trees, you maybe hear birds, just walking along this nice pathway in a park. And imagine in your mind that you're approaching a park bench. And on this bench, you see someone sitting. And as you're getting closer, you can see that it's you. But it's not you today. It's you from 10 years ago. Just taking a moment to imagine how you looked 10 years ago. Maybe the kind of clothes you might have been wearing, the hairstyle you might have had, the general look that you had, just seeing it right now. Now I want you to imagine that they're really happy to see you. As they see you approaching, they're just beaming at you. And as you get there, they get up, they give you a big hug, hello, so you can feel beautiful energy of a nice embrace with your past self. And I want you to just sit down in your mind on the park bench next to them. And in a moment, you're going to ask them a question. And after you ask this question, I want you to just sit there and listen to what they have to say. Listen, and then possibly have a conversation with them based on your question and their answer. But right now, I want you to ask them, what do you need from me right now? Just let them speak. And once you've got a clear idea of something that they want from you, something they are hoping that you'll do for them, I want you to ask them and sit with them and plan what it is that you're going to do about it. And as they're speaking, trying to stay nice and simple with any plans or ideas that are coming up. Just taking the next 20 seconds to reiterate what you might be doing from here on out. What's the idea, the thing that they want you to do, and what is it that you're going to do to achieve it or move towards it? I want you to imagine that you can see them smiling at you, looking really hopeful, looking optimistic, and you can feel inside of yourself a desire to execute, a desire to follow through. I want you to imagine that you both stand up, they look you dead in the eye, and they say, "I know you can do this. I believe in you. You have everything you need within you and around you to make this happen. So go out there and give it your best shot." And imagine that you can see them giving you an encouraging smile. They walk towards you, put their arms around you and give you a nice big hug. Imagine that they pull away with a smile on their face and you can see them turn around and walk away down the path away from you. See them looking happy, enjoying the walk. Feel a smile on your face. Just noticing how you feel. Do you feel excited? Do you feel a bit of pressure? Whatever you're feeling, that is amazing. That is perfect. Just taking a deep breath in this moment, all the way in through your nose. And with a breath out, hearing yourself say in your mind, "I can do this. I know I can do this." And imagine that you turn away from this park bench and you start walking back along the path that you came. Just noticing a bit more of a spring and definiteness in your stride, a feeling of purpose in your body. As you take another deep breath in through your nose, feeling the energy build, breathing out through your mouth. And you can slowly see the vision of the park fading as you slowly come back into your body where you're seated right now. Just feeling yourself arrive back into this moment, noticing the temperature of the room, noticing how your body feels, taking a moment to straighten back up, move your shoulders back, and just taking a deep breath in through your nose, all the way in. And as you breathe out, you can start to wiggle your fingers and toes, move your neck from side to side, roll your shoulders, stretch out in any way that you need to, and slowly just come back into this space. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. Well done, and welcome back. Just taking a moment to just notice how you feel. And if you need to, you can just stretch out a bit. You can write down anything that came to you. If you had anything that you want to remember, just taking a moment to write it down. But just being really proud of yourself for being here, just enjoying how you're feeling. And again, if anything came up for you during this session, please don't hesitate afterwards to reach out. Now, the way that these sessions work is you're free to leave whenever you want, but I do stop the recording and I just let people talk about their experience of how they went with the meditation or just anything that they want to share. So thank you for coming along tonight to Mindful Mondays. I've been the host, David Keith Turner. And if you could give me some kind of review on Meetup when you exit and go back in, that would be amazing. Helps me get to more people. And if you feel anything came up for you and you want to reach out, please feel free to do so. You can message me on Meetup or you can message me on Instagram or Facebook, David Keith Turner on all different platforms. That's Keith. Amazing. So I'm going to end the recording and just open it up to see how people went.